Hi, this is JR, the expat in Saigon. If you enjoy the content in this video or any of my other videos, I wish you'd consider subscribing. Subscribing's free and it helps me out a lot. So now, let's get into the video. Today I've kind of got a serious topic to discuss. It's something that's bothered me for a while, and I just don't understand exactly what's going on and why things are like they are. When I was a kid, my dad always told me, son, don't shit in your own backyard. Well, this is kind of his way of saying that he is an environmentalist. My dad didn't burn trash in the backyard when all the neighbors did. Of course, no one does that now in the cities, but back then it was a common thing. The thing I've been concerned about is here in Vietnam, it seems like the people are not conscious of the value of their primary asset, which is their country. This is a beautiful country with literally hundreds of kilometers of beaches, has mountains, has sand dunes, has all kinds of things, has the beautiful Mekong Delta. It's an absolutely beautiful country, and I'm kind of afraid to say this, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or think that I don't love this country, because I do, but bottom line, the Vietnamese have shit in their own backyard. You know, a lot of times when I'm just walking down the street, I'll see kids on the back of motorbikes with their parents. Maybe they're drinking a soda or something in one of those little boxes. And when they finish, they just throw it on the ground. Just toss it out. Well, man, if I'd done something like that, my dad would have, torn me a new one. Wouldn't have been a good thing at all. I come from a state that's motto is don't mess with Texas. There's even a song by Willie Nelson about that. The state took it very seriously. The schools taught it. Your parents taught it. Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Texas. So it kind of surprises me that in Vietnam, apparently the schools and the parents aren't teaching the kids this, because you see examples of things like littering and all the time. You also see adults doing it. You see them throwing trash in the canals. You see people throwing big bags of trash in drainage ditches and things like that, or in the drainage ducts that are on the roads. A lot of flooding is caused by that. It's really a terrible thing that they do, but they do it all the time, and it seems like they don't learn from it. But today, that's not the main thing I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is eating endangered species. Now, that just seems like something that you wouldn't expect anyone to want to do.
Actually, I'm a member of PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
So am I. That means people for eating tasty animals.
But in Vietnam, taking your guests out somewhere and feeding them an endangered species like pangolin is a status symbol. In the US, you'd be ostracized for that kind of behavior. No one would have anything to do with you. Even the law enforcement here, sometimes they find pangolins being smuggled into the country. They take them away from the smugglers, and then next thing you know, the pangolins are dinner in some restaurant. It's kind of a bad situation. You know, there's a lot of animals here that have become endangered because the Vietnamese literally ate them. And that's just, that's really unacceptable. They're gonna run out of pangolins. What are they gonna do then? They eat the entire population of pangolins? I think it's crazy. You know, they need to give it a rest. I was looking on the internet about pangolin scales, which are in great demand in Vietnam and in southern China. Pangolin scales are made out of keratin. So are rhinoceros horns, which are supposed to be good for your libido. But guess what? They're made out of keratin. You know what keratin is? Keratin is your fingernails. You'd be better off to bite your fingernails than to use rhinoceros horns or pangolin scales for medicine. So there's just no reason to do it.
Ủa?
Cảm ơn con.
Dạ. Con nghe người ta nói tác dụng của sừng tê giác rất tốt cho sức khỏe. Bố thử dùng xem sao ạ.
Tác dụng của sừng tê giác không phải như lâu nay người ta vẫn lầm tưởng con ạ. Người mua sừng tê giác, những người tiêu thụ sừng tê giác vô tình đã tiếp tay cho việc săn bắn tê giác, đã làm xấu đi hình ảnh.
It really just doesn't make sense. But the animals are a real concern to me. I love animals. I've got a couple of little cats that are my pets, and you know, there's just something about animals to me that's fascinating. But in Vietnam and Laos, Cambodia, places like that, they raise tigers and bears and things for body parts. And honestly, these body parts, scientists have said that most everything that they are using in their medicine is really a myth. It's not real, and it doesn't really benefit anybody. There's also synthetic versions of the chemicals that they claim are in those animal parts. So there's just no reason to kill or raise animals to kill for medicine. We also recently saw some Vietnamese men, I think there were about a half a dozen of them or so, that killed an endangered monkey. They ate it. You know, what's for dinner? What's on the menu? Endangered species. It's disgusting. I really, every time I see an article about something like that, it just turns my stomach. I really wish that people here from the get-go would teach their children the value of the assets in this country. And the assets in this country are the landscape and the nature and the wildlife. These are the things that are going to bring the tourists. These are the things that are going to put billions of dollars in the economy. And the Vietnamese culture is not protecting it, and they are endangering the future of tourism in their own country. People aren't going to come to a dirty place. They're not going to come to a place that doesn't have any wildlife or mountains with forests. They're not here just to hang out on Walking Street. They want to see more than that. I know there's a lot of demand from China for products like that, and the Vietnamese are facilitating it. And I think that's bad too. I think the penalties should be really severe for that kind of activity. But it goes on every day. There's just not enough people interested in enforcing those laws to make them really effective. You know, Vietnam is expecting to have tremendous growth in their tourist industry. They think tourism could be 10% of the economy, maybe by the year 2025. I think in the long run, the idea of endangered species being on the menu and just dirtying up your country because you're, too lazy to pick up the trash, I think it's a bad thing. And I think that it's going to hurt Vietnam in the long run. You take countries like Singapore, there are people flock there because of how beautiful and how clean it is. That's not why they come here. The return rate of tourism here, people actually returning after they visited once, is pretty low compared to other countries. People that go to Philippines or Thailand, they go a lot of times. They make the trip, they like it, they go back. That's not so in Vietnam. People generally come here, they don't come back. But you know, there's no reason to eat your animals into extinction. Raise animals for dubious medicine, which most people now know that doesn't really do anything. And to destroy the look of the country. You know, the beautiful beaches, the mountains that are scarred from the illegal logging, the trash floating in canals and drainage ditches and just anywhere. it's not something that is going to bring the tourists to your country. Personally, I think the Vietnamese need to get a handle on this and get a handle on it quick. It's going to cost some money. It's going to add cost to everything to have a clean country. But in the long run, those costs are going to be insignificant compared to the business that tourism generates. So which is it? Do you eat your endangered species? Do you cut down your protected forests? Do you eat the seafood that's endangered, like turtles and giant fish and things that are in the Mekong River? Or do you take care of the environment? I think a lot of the problems are environmental. And I think that that's something that everyone should be aware of and try to take care of. Do what you can. Keep the place clean. Don't throw trash on the street. Make the place beautiful for tourists. Make them want to come back. I love Vietnam, and I really want to see it be a success. And it can't be a success if it destroys itself and if it eats all its endangered animals and wildlife. Wildlife's an important part of the ecosystem, and I think that you got to protect it. You've got to protect that, and you've got to protect their habitat. It's also our habitat, and that needs protection too. People are a lot more healthy when they live in a clean environment. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. I sure don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I sure do think that the protection of the environment and the endangered species needs to be a serious part of the growing up process in Vietnam. From the time you're a little kid, people need to be telling you, don't shit in your own backyard. If you want to help, one of the best things you can do first is not participate in these activities. Don't throw trash out. Don't eat endangered species. Don't drink wine with little animal parts in it to show how macho you are. It's just not worth it. Somewhere along the line, you're doing this country a disservice. It would be a good idea to get involved with some of the organizations here that want to protect animals and protect the environment. I'll list some of them and put some information on them for you in this video. This is the expat in Saigon saying thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like and subscribe.